Assalamu alaikum, brothers.
Walaikum assalam.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون صدق الله العظيم. As brother highlighted, the talk will be on Salahuddin. And brothers, it's a great honor and a pleasure to speak about this man. You know, somebody who is an enormous figure in our Islamic history. And he's somebody who we need in this ummah today. Because Salahuddin Ayyubi rahmatullahi alayhi is a man who even the West know about. And obviously they call him Saladin. They've made films about him. He's a man who, his ideas, his ambitions, his achievements, if they were to exist today, we know, brothers, quite clearly, although they've made films about him, he'd be labelled an extremist, a fundamentalist. If someone like Salahuddin came today with his ideas to liberate Palestine, unite the Muslim Ummah, he'll be labelled an extremist. And it gives me pleasure to speak about this man because we're in a situation similar to Salahuddin's situation, brothers. So it's very important that we look to his life because we need to go back to our roots to understand where did we go wrong from glory and honor to disgrace and humiliation that we face today. So it's imperative that we look at great heroes in the past and of course today specifically at Salahuddin Ayyubi rahmatullahi alayhi. Now just quickly, just to go into his life, his lineage. We know, as the brother mentioned, he's most famous for liberating Palestine, Al-Quds. That's what we know him for. So that immediately makes you think, okay, he liberated Palestine. Where could he be from? Could he be Palestinian? Immediately you're thinking Palestinian, Arab. Gotta be Arab. Must have came from one of these areas. But in fact, brothers, his lineage and he himself was a Kurd. Not an Arab, a non-Arab. And he was from a good, a Rawadiya Kurdish family, very noble Kurdish family. And that, if anything, you're going to take away from my talk today is that, just take that away. You've got to remember he was a Kurd, not a Palestinian. Because why? That wasn't an issue. That wasn't an issue. He was a Muslim. Yeah? And I want to focus on this throughout the talk. Keep that in mind, brothers. He was a Kurd, he was a Muslim. Nationality doesn't play a factor in this. So, he was born in a place called Tikrit in Baghdad, and in 532, the dates, not that important, 532 after Hijrah. And his father was Najmuddin, and his brother, his uncle, was Asaduddin. And these two are very important. We'll go into a little bit about them. And ironically, what happened was, at the time he was born, his father, Najmuddin, was working for a guy who was in charge of that place, Tikrit. Yeah, Tikrit. And just before I say that place, by the way, brothers, was opened up Islamically by the Mujahideen under the command of Umar bin al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. So it's subhanallah, it's like Umar bin al-Khattab opened up Palestine and then he opened up this land, and from this land came Salahuddin Ayyubi rahmatullahi alayhi. And they worked for a man called Bahruz. He was like the leader in this place. And he was like, they were like police officers. We don't have to go into the details. There was some problems. There was a fight that took place between Asaduddin and this guard that worked at this place. There was at Tikrit, at the castle of Bahruz. There was a dispute. There was a fight. Yeah, and it eventually led to them getting, moved away. Leave. The leader said leave because I like you. I want you to stay, but that family is going to want revenge. Because what happened is he ended up killing that guard over this dispute of a woman's chastity. They eventually moved to a place called Mosul in Baghdad, in Iraq. They moved to Mosul and they stayed with a man called the leader Imaduddin Azingi. And he welcomed Salahuddin's uncle and his father, Asaduddin and Najmuddin, welcomed them. Because they previously helped Imaduddin in a battle, helped him, saved his life. Yeah. So he took them in, said, okay, you guys can stay here, work in the police force, work in the army, in fact. And obviously they were military men, trained men, fighting men, his father and his uncle. And eventually Salahuddin managed to get his childhood in this place, in Damascus. Yeah, we know Damascus at that time, in terms of Islamic knowledge, Islamic learning. So he was exposed, to many alim, many scholars to learn the deen from. He learned the Arabic language, the rules of the grammar. He learned, memorized the Quran at a young age. He learned horseman, how to ride a horse. He learned how to throw javelins, really good at throwing javelins. And he was training himself in military warfare in the footsteps of his father. So he was getting this at this young age, he was getting this training and this development, Islamic development. And this was all shaping his personality, who he was, and what he was about to do, that he would be remembered for the rest of Islamic history. And he was a calm, polite, pious person, yeah, not a rude man, not an arrogant person. And these qualities, they made him stand out, coupled with bravery. And these qualities made him stand out to the point where the leader, Imaduddin, said, "You be the head of the police. Yeah, you become head of police." So he became head of police in Damascus. Now there was a poet that was written, a poem that was written about him, and it's quite interesting because his first name is Yusuf. Yeah, Yusuf Salahuddin Ayyubi. And when he became the police, head of police, he was locking up robbers left, right, and center, banging them up, And the poem goes that Yusuf, alayhi salam, like the Prophet, Yusuf made the women cut the hand, and he's chopping the robbers' hands. You see, and because he was getting rid of them, left, right, and center, and crime was reducing, and he was bringing peace and stability to that place. He was the head of police. Now, obviously, he grew up, and a situation happened in Egypt. I don't want to give a historical lesson because that's boring, but a situation took place in Egypt which developed and shaped his military skills, which would eventually lead to him liberating Al-Quds. But before we go into that, what happened there, we need to understand the reality and the context. We need to know the context in which Salahuddin Ayyubi was born. What was happening at his time? Was the Islamic world all fine? Were we all united? He just happened to just be, he just happened to be born and everything was lovely and he was learning Arabic and subhanallah. What was the context? And brothers, I think you find that after Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam established the first Khilafah, established the Islamic state in Medina, the Muslim world under the four Khulafa expanded greatly. They took the message of Islam and they took jihad all over the world. And Islam was so powerful. Muslims were the leading nation for all other nations. The Muslim state was the leading state for all other states. Every state feared the Khilafah system, Islam and the Muslims. Now, what happened slowly through time, through complacency, look at us, we're so powerful, foreign ideas, philosophy, many things, we don't want to go into it. But eventually what happened, we started to decline. And then we started to, what happened? We had internal problems. Yeah, we had financial corruption. We had Muslims fighting Muslims, Muslims killing Muslims, in fact. Yeah, we had deep, there was two, as you said, Fatimid Caliphate, and then there was the Abbasid was the main Khilafah. Another one came. So there was two different systems, two different governments for Muslims. Which one am I meant to give bay'ah to? So there was divisions, corruptions, murder. And when this was happening, the Muslims were becoming weak and losing. The kuffar, namely the Christians, they sensed this. And they were watching with a keen eye. Because all of this time, they've been seeing Islam rise, isn't it? They've been seeing this great power, take over the trade, lead the world in technology, in knowledge, in science. And they've been in the background, poor, starving, hungry, dirty. So now they're seeing Islam and the Muslims fighting and bickering. They sensed that reality. And then under Pope Urban II, the leader of the Christians, he declared a Christian jihad, crusade against the Muslim world. He said, today we must liberate Palestine from the hands of these disbelievers, i.e. Muslims. The Christians were disbelievers. We must liberate Al-Quds from these disbelievers. These Muslims who have taken our holy land. Jerusalem is their holy land as well. And we had Jerusalem. We must go into their lands and we must wage a war against these people who are backward, who have no manners, who have no morals, who, treat their women unjustly. All the stuff we're hearing today. Backward, barbarians. We must wage a war, a crusade against them. And the men started to amass, the Christians started to amass, and they started to invade the lands of the Muslims. They started to attack the land of the Muslim one after the other. Until, and eventually, the whole of Asham, Lebanon, Syria, Palestine, the land in which Muhammad ﷺ did Isra wal Mi'raj, was occupied by the Crusaders. And brothers, we have to remember this. This is a point in our Islamic history, one of the most humiliating, one of the most embarrassing, one of the most disgraceful events which has ever befallen the Muslim Ummah. This event. Because what happened now is our land, our holy lands, were being invaded by Christian crusaders. The whole world were looking and saying the Muslims have been defeated. The Muslims have become weak. And the Muslims were defeated, brothers. And the kuffar did win. But brothers, Islam didn't lose. And kufr didn't triumph. Islam and the ideology and the aqidah of Islam remained. And it was this aqidah, the aqidah we believe, I believe, he believes, you believe, that Salahuddin had in his heart. He had this aqidah in his heart which motivated him. He saw the problems. He said, I need to solve these problems. Our ummah is divided internally. We have external problems and invasions. The kuffar invading our lands. They have taken our lands. We need to solve this problem. Same situation we're in today. What did he start doing? Then we go to Egypt. I don't want to go into the story, but Egypt, there were rebellions taking place. Muslims were rebelling against the Fatima, the Khalif, Al-Adid. And As-Sa'di, Ash-Shawir As-Sa'di, he rebelled and he asked Asaduddin. Remember, Asaduddin was Salahuddin's uncle. Asaduddin for help. So Nuruddin, and Nuruddin sent Asaduddin, his uncle, and Salahuddin came along. And they eventually went to Egypt. They helped the As-Sa'di. And As-Sa'di made the promises, if you help me, I'll give you money for the jihad, I'll give you this, I'll give you that. But he lied basically. Cut a long story short, he lied. Yeah? And he actually, not only did he lie, he betrayed them. He called the kuffar and the crusaders to come and help him against Salahuddin and Nuruddin. So betrayed. So, okay, but that's what happened. But in this military experience, what happened with Salahuddin? He was learning and he was seeing, first-hand, experienced jihad. He was experiencing jihad with his uncle. And his uncle was a great man. Asaduddin was a great warrior. Then eventually, again, same situation happened in Egypt. They went back. Salahuddin went back to Damascus. Eventually it happened again. And then the guy, Sa'di, called him back again. Please come and help me again. Send me an army again. The kuffar want to come again. The kuffar want to, crusaders this time wanted to get them. So Salahuddin comes with Nuruddin. And this time they bring such a big army that they take everything over. They take everything over, and As-Sa'di gets killed. And Salahuddin, and straight after, obviously, Asaduddin becomes leader. Asaduddin dies. Salahuddin comes to power in Egypt. And with this coming to power, he has something, he can do something now. He's not just one man on the street, lone soldier, going around and saying, I'm going to fix this, I'm going to fix this, I'm going to fix this. He's in a position of power, he can change things now. He can do something. Yeah? And he takes a few steps to unite the Muslim Ummah. Yeah? Firstly, what he does is he establishes institutions to teach the correct learning, the correct understanding of Islam. So he establishes two famous institutions, and they're teaching proper Islam. The Aqidah, your one Ummah, your belief in Allah, you should have dependence of Allah, don't rely on the kuffar, don't trust in the kuffar. The Aqidah of Islam, he was teaching them. And many people who were on deviant beliefs, they came back to the Sunnah and the way of the Sunnah. Yeah? So on an Aqidah level, he's uniting people. Everyone was like, yeah, I'm a Muslim, I believe in one Allah, Muhammad is my last and final messenger. Uniting the Muslims on the intellectual level, on the idea level. Then he started to take and get rid of plots and plans against them, because he had enemies. Don't forget, brothers, because the Fatimid Empire was, people did want this empire. It existed for a reason. There were people in there who said this is the right empire. Although we know the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if there's two caliphs, both implementing Sharia law, you kill the one that came next. You kill the one that came next. And Abbasid was the one who came first. Fatimids came next. Whoever they implemented Sharia better than this, the Khalif must be killed. That land must be united. So there were plots against Salahuddin. And there's some famous ones, and I'll mention one. There was one by a man called Najah. He was a famous, he was close to the Fatimid Khalif. He was close to the wazirs, to the family of the Fatimid Khalif Al-Adid. Very close. So he said, Salahuddin's causing us problems. He's going to eventually, he's going to undermine our empire, Fatimid empire. Let's kill him. So what he does, he made the same mistake what many Muslims in our past make. He went to the kuffar for help. He went to the Crusaders. He said, listen, I'll send an army at the front. I'll send an army from the backside. You guys come from the front. Salahuddin's army will be in the middle, and we'll crush them like a sandwich. Great plan. Let's kill him. And obviously the Crusaders, they're watching Salahuddin all this time. They're watching him. They're seeing him rising in the ranks, and seeing him, uniting the Muslims, doing some great, things that are already shaking them. They're like, this man's a threat. Yeah, I'm up for that. Let's take him out now before he gets too big of a threat. So the Crusaders are all coming. But Salahuddin defeats them and defeats that plan. He finds out about this plan, and this plan of shaitan doesn't materialize. Another person. We had a guy called Khanz al-Dawla. Imar al-Yaman, actually. Don't worry about the names. These people are relevant. We don't need to know who their names are. All we need to know is they betrayed Islam and Muslims, and they lost in the end. This man came along, and he said, you know what, I want the son of the Fatimid ruler to be in power. I don't want Salahuddin to be in power. So again, he made a similar plot. Let's kill him, etc. Salahuddin found this man, found the other conspirators, and had them slaughtered and killed. Salahuddin killed them. Because he set an example to anyone who wanted to even try to backstab the Muslims, to try to stab the Ummah in the back and its leadership. Because this was an act of, aggression. This was an act of, what's the word when you go against your state? Treachery. This was treachery. Treason. This was an act of treason. So Salahuddin had them killed. And another example, Khanz al-Dawla, another munafiq, another traitor. He tried to attack and plot against Salahuddin, tried to kill him. Salahuddin found out, grabbed him, killed them, finished them, got rid of these internal problems. Then Salahuddin started to go out into the lands of the Muslims and start to fight the ones who would not unite. So he would go united Egypt, united Syria, because Imaduddin died. Best leader now, Salahuddin. Salahuddin came, took over Syria, went to North Africa, united North Africa, fought against those who rebelled, united Yemen. Yemen was in a situation where there was infight, they were killing each other in Yemen. Muslims were killing each other. So when Salahuddin found out I need to unite that land, he sent his brother. His brother went, Tolran, I think his name, Tolran went, and because they wanted to unite so badly, when the Yemeni Muslims heard Salahuddin, the great man Salahuddin, is sending his army to unite us, they thought, let's help him. We don't want to keep fighting. Muslims in the Muslim world, when people use this argument, they're fighting each other, they're killing each other. Muslims who believe in Allah and His messages don't want to fight each other. That's not what we're here to do. They don't want to kill each other. That's not what they want to spend their life doing. So when that opportunity arises, that great leader who's implementing Islam and the Sharia is coming to unite us, they said, they'll give him the keys, come into the castle. Come into the castle and unite us. United the Yemenis. United North Iraq, north parts of northern Iraq. And he fought and he united these lands. Kind of long, we could go into deep history and how he did this, but generally he united all of these lands. And it is said that Salahuddin, he killed more Muslims than Crusaders. Why? What's this showing us? The importance of unity, brothers. That the blood of a Muslim we know is sacred. The blood of a Muslim is worth more than the Kaaba in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But in this instance of unity, it becomes halal. If a Muslim, Prophet ﷺ, if a Muslim comes, or a group of Muslims come to drive a wedge in your unity, try to disunite you. You must fight and kill these people. This is harsh words from the Prophet ﷺ, but why? To maintain the unity. And you see and understand why unity is so important, brothers. And why Salahuddin was doing all of these things. Why is he doing all of these things? Why didn't he just come on his horse and say, with his, a few men, let's go guys, Al-Aqsa. And then the brothers, a few of the rowdy brothers, yeah, jihad. And they went, and they got killed, and alhamdulillah, at the end. Why didn't Salahuddin do that? He had a plan. He was uniting the Muslims, brothers. So after fighting the ones who rebelled, uniting the Muslims, establishing institutions, teaching the correct Aqidah of Islam, the Muslims became united enough to be able to confront and deal with the occupying crusaders. And the battle, of course, kicked off, the famous battle which led to the liberation of Al-Quds and Masjid Al-Aqsa was a battle Hittin. Yeah, this was the deciding battle. And that battle, how it started and the story of it is, to say it briefly, is there was a guy called Reginald. He was a leader of a place called Kerak. And this Reginald, just remember that name, Reginald. You don't have to know about his status and personality, we don't care. Reginald, he had a truce with Salahuddin, because while Salahuddin was uniting, he made truces. This man broke this truce, as the kuffar usually do. We know we can't trust them. So he came along and he attacked a caravan of Salahuddin. With his men, he attacked a caravan and they killed and slaughtered the people of that caravan and stole the goods of Salahuddin. And his sister was on that caravan as well. She was killed. Now when this happened, that wasn't the pinnacle of that situation. Because Reginald, he hated Islam and the Muslims. Hated Islam and the Muslims to the point where he said to the Muslims he had caught, he said, look what I have done to you. Look what I have done. What will your Muhammad ﷺ do for you now? You're so arrogant. He said to them, what would your Prophet do? Where is he now? We've occupied your lands. We've taken over your territory. We've just ransacked your caravan. We've got you hostage. Where is your Prophet? When he said this, and Salahuddin heard, Salahuddin went mad. He went berserk. This was the thing that said, he made an oath. He said, I will kill this man with my own hands. Salahuddin said, I will kill this man with my own hands for disrespecting the Prophet ﷺ. And we know Salahuddin is a calm man. He's a wise and intelligent, patient man. He doesn't get angry very quickly. We'll see later on. If I have time, I'll give you some examples of how merciful he was. But when Rasulullah ﷺ was insulted by these kuffar, by this kuffar, that was it. He said, I will kill him with my own hands. He's mine. And eventually the battle kicked off, and they captured Reginald. And the process, Salahuddin Ayyubi killed this man with his bare hands, as he promised. And if you've seen the film, you see how the glass, the drink was not for him. You see it. We've all seen it, and then he slices it. So he kept to his words. And that was the precursor for him to go into Al-Quds. And to cut a long story short, the Crusaders, they didn't really put up much of a fight when Muslims united and actually came to the front of Al-Quds and Jerusalem. When they actually came, they didn't actually put up a fight. I mean, I've been to Palestine, I've seen, you see basically the whole place of Al-Aqsa it's like a big castle around it. Like a big castle, it's like guarded really well. And they haven't destroyed that since the time of Salahuddin, historical purposes. Really beautiful and it's subhanAllah, really awe-inspiring. But that place, obviously, you look at it and think, Salahuddin's army was here. And they wanted to get into there to liberate Masjid Al-Aqsa and the Muslims. And the Crusaders didn't really put much of a fight, and they surrendered. How are they going to put up a fight with a group of united Muslims who have a strong leader, fearing none but Allah and His Messenger, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and following His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And that in general, obviously, subhanAllah, he liberated Al-Aqsa. But what was the precursor for that to happen, brothers? What was the prerequisite? What did he need before he could liberate? Because we're in that situation today. Poverty, disunited, wars, occupation. Masjid Al-Aqsa today is again occupied. And not just by crusaders, by people who Allah turned to pigs and monkeys. by people who Allah favored them, then said they are the cursed people. Allah Himself personally curses them. By people who, you know, we in Surah Al-Fatiha, we seek refuge from what they have, which is the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These people have occupied our lands. So that is a very humiliating situation we're in. And it should sadden us. And with anyone who has iman in us, it should sadden us. So what do we need, brothers? What we need is what Salahuddin achieved before he went and liberated Palestine, which is unity, brothers. But unity cannot happen when the Muslims are divided. And today, you find that the Muslims are mostly divided on what? What are they divided on? Nationalism. Muslims are divided on flags, territorial borders, and nationalism. A disease which has crept in to the Muslim Ummah. And nationalism started, you know, it started off in France. You know, when they had a state. When they had a state, they wanted to unite the people of France. And similar to Europe, other European countries, they had a state. They said, we want to unite them. You know, they're going to start rebelling against us. How do we unite them? We say, look, live for your country, your language, your race, your color, your creed. Yeah? The homeland you're from. So they started to espouse nationalism, and then the people were like, yeah, we're French. This is our flag. Yeah, he's my French brother. I'm a peasant, and he's a rich land. We're the same. We're from the same country. And these ideas, it started off in France. And obviously this happened as a result. They had a state, and the nationalism came. We adopted nationalism to get a state. You know, a small territorial state which, you know, can't do harm to anybody. And this idea has crept in, and obviously we have this flag and that flag, literally the same place where Salahuddin was from. You know, King Faisal, you know, after the World War, in World War I, they were sitting together and saying, look, they were drawing the flag for the first time with the British. Let's draw it. What colour do you want it to be? What symbol should we have? We've got to keep it a little bit Islamic. Should we have a crescent? So people will look at it and say, well, there's a crescent. Yeah? What identity should we give them? Iraqi, let's call them Iraqi. That's what we'll call them. Muslims, Iraqi, that's what we'll call them. They were planning and plotting these things after the war, with a ruler dividing the Muslim lands. Instigating, you know, nationalism. You're a Bengali, you're a Pakistani, you're an Arab, you're a this, you're that, but you're not a Muslim. Everything but a Muslim. So the Muslims are stuck. And brothers, let me tell you that the Muslim Ummah, we work, and in history, we've always worked the best when we work together. As a unit, as a body, you know? That's when we work together, when we work the best. And the Prophet ﷺ said that the believers are like a body. The Muslims are like a body. If one part feels pain, the whole body feels pain. Al-Aqsa today is occupied. We should feel pain. And I was thinking about this hadith. SubhanAllah, it's like, imagine, you know, how a body would be if it had all of these, you know, elements within it. I was disagreeing with the brain. You know, the arm wanted independence. You know, my left arm wanted independence. My leg wants, you know, the new flag. You know, this wants a new boundary. Before I know every part of my body wants independence, I'm going to want to do one thing. I won't be able to achieve my goal. I can't move. And this is the poison that has crept in to disable the Muslim Ummah. And the kuffar, they put these ideas forward. And I was watching a documentary, brothers. You know, I was thinking about this, and I thought, you know what, subhanAllah, this is exactly what's happening here, yeah? Bear with me. It's a small lizard, yeah? And he was talking about how a lizard, you know, eats. How does a lizard eat? It was one type of lizard. Now this lizard wanted to eat a big buffalo. So I'm looking at a lizard, I'm looking at a buffalo, like, how's that going to happen? Yeah? So that lizard goes up to the buffalo, and the buffalo just kicks it away, yeah? And the lizard just goes flying away. So I'm thinking, there's no way that lizard's going to eat that buffalo. It's too big, it's too strong, it's too powerful. But subhanAllah, what does the lizard do? The lizard gets close enough to bite it once. Just bites it once on a leg somewhere. And it poisons it. And it waits for 3 weeks, brothers, because it takes 3 weeks for that poison to kick in. That lizard and his lizard friends, they wait for 3 weeks. And the bull eventually starts breaking down. You know, that poison starts kicking in hard. And the bull starts collapsing. 3 weeks, nearly a month. Lizards ain't eating, bro. They've been following this one buffalo. That we're going to get you eventually. Patience, sabr. Yeah? Isbir, yeah? And then the buffalo eventually is down. And the lizards come for the attack. Now now it's finished. The poison is, is in the blood. Yeah? Destroyed its vital organs. And the buffalo is still trying, subhanAllah. At the point of death, we try hard. And believe me, the Muslims tried hard at the point of death, at the Ottoman Empire. We tried. Buffalo tried to put off, it just couldn't do it. And before you know it, brothers, wallahi, these lizards, they eat everything. They eat the bone, brothers. They don't leave anything. They eat everything. And this was the fate of the buffalo. The Muslim Ummah was the buffalo, brothers. We were united and strong, and the poison was nationalism, and the lizards are the Western nations, brothers. Britain, France, America, who have surrounded and poisoned us, kept us fighting, unable to do anything. And the antidote, brothers, is unity. The antidote is unity, because Salahuddin al-Ayyubi rahmatullahi understood that I'm a Muslim. And he died, thinking about the Muslim. At the time of the Crusades, he couldn't smile. He couldn't eat properly. They said, why can't you eat? Why not eat? Why are you not eating or smiling? He said, how can I smile? How can I eat when the land of Al-Aqsa is occupied by the kuffar? How can I smile? Is it something to smile about? Look how much, he was a Kurd. Remember we said he was a Kurd, but that wasn't what made him care. He cared because he was Muslim. And his brothers were Muslim who were occupied. And this was the type of person he was. And obviously we know, just a quick, we gave a little brief outline of his life. He died, he caught yellow fever, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took his soul. But he was so poor that he never even had enough money to qualify for zakat. He never had enough money to qualify to give zakat. Subhanallah. And that told me something as soon as I found that fact out. Told me that he wasn't a man of dunya. He wasn't interested in dunya, because I tell you, brothers, the thing that's going to hold us back, the thing that's been holding us back, the thing that has always been, is dunya, the temptations of it. This issue, this thing pulling at you, that thing wanting you. That's the only thing that holds you back. And Salahuddin, he got rid of that. He used the dunya as a way to get to Al-Jannah. And he didn't make the dunya his ultimate goal. And this is one of the things we should learn. And if there's 3 things we're going to take away from this, brothers, just to conclude, is that unity is needed. Unity is needed. And unity can't happen with the second point, which is nationalism. And nationalism is rotten. The Prophet ﷺ said, leave it, for it is rotten. Yeah? لَيْسَ مِنَّ مَنْ دَعَى إِلَىٰ عَصَبِيًّا. The one who calls to nationalism is not from us. He's not from this ummah. Yeah? The one who fights for nationalism is not from us, from this ummah. And the one who dies upon nationalism, he dies upon the death of jahiliyyah, a pre-Islamic death. So it's not from the aqidah of Islam, it's an alien idea. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةً. The brothers are but believers, a brotherhood. So nationalism is a problem that we need to eradicate. And 3, and most importantly, is that change is possible. Salahuddin proved it. In a time similar to ours, brothers, in humiliation, in darkness, so much problems. Salahuddin al-Ayyubi rahmatullahi, he proved that change can happen. And there's no need to be pessimistic. There's no need to be, subhanallah, there's no hope. Because there's actually a funny story. When his father got kicked out from, remember we said at first he stayed in Tikrit, and his father got chucked out with his brother. When his father got chucked out, his father was thinking of killing Salahuddin as a baby, because of how pessimistic and how upset he got, how depressed he got. Oh look, I'm getting chucked out, I have no money, how am I going to raise him? I'm a shameful father, let's kill him. But a Muslim had to come up to him and say, what are you doing? In his moment where he stopped thinking, what are you doing? You don't know, he might grow up to be a great king. He might grow up to do something great. So don't lose hope. And the man was like, subhanallah. His father was like, subhanallah, why should I lose hope? And we shouldn't lose hope, because inshallah, brothers, there are probably many Salahuddins around today. Probably we are waiting for Salahuddin to be born. And we pray that he has been born already. وآخر دعوانا عن الحمد لله رب العالمين.